Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board. We still got suggestions pouring in for both Dick Cheney and Lynn Cheney for the biopic in which Christian Bale has been selected to play Dick Cheney. I think we've got the winning answer here. Kristen, you ready for it?
I'm ready.
One good answer, Paul Giamatti. He's excellent in
sure.
Billions. I mean, he's a great actor. He's excellent in the series Billions right now on Showtime. But I think the winning answer comes to us from 708 text. Bryan Cranston.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That's a good call. If you haven't seen Sneaky Pete on Amazon,
No.
Cranston is great. He makes the series just like he did Breaking Bad, of course. And also another suggestion for Lynn Cheney, Dana Delaney.
Oh,
I could see that.
Sure.
Yeah, I could see that. All right. Keep them coming. 312-642-5600. Turnkey.pro answer line 64636DA. Turnkey.pro text line. On this Good Friday, Kristen, you know it was written in the good book about how Isaiah 11:6, if you're part of my
Don't
Bible
quiz
study
me. I'm a
class.
public, remember?
Yeah,
I know.
Boy. All right, I'm going to speak slower. That's Isaiah chapter 11, verse 6.
Make sure you don't do what Trump did, though. 2 Corinthians.
No, I won't do that.
Okay.
I won't do that. I am one of the few Catholics who's actually read the Bible. And as Isaiah 11:6, of course, it speaks of a barber who shall lead them. No, actually, it speaks of a little child who shall lead us. And by the way, that's not talking about a child leading adults. It's talking about the day of the Lord when we're absolved of our sins, and the wolf will lay down with the sheep and the lion with the calf.
Do I get communion now?
That's what it actually means. But I'm just saying, we're a little child, Jesus Christ shall lead us. But in Illinois, it's an 80-year-old barber that's going to lead us.
Okay. You're really setting the bar extremely high.
Well, we're talking about political salvation here, not eternal salvation. But Bob Anderson is a newly minted trustee for McHenry Township in McHenry County. And he is also the proprietor of a barbershop in Wonder Lake, up that way. And he ran on a platform to alter the size and layers and expense of government. And the reactions have been very interesting. The reactions that he and his slate mates have generated per their success in winning on this past April 4th election. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by our friend Bob Anderson. Bob, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. And so before you even ran for office, you started a little taxpayer revolt, kind of a one-man taxpayer revolt on the issue of property taxes by how you chose to pay your property taxes out your way. How'd you do that?
Well, that was kind of a thing that came out of the past that was happening with Dan Aylward, probably, I'm going to say 20 years ago. But anyway, he gave me a call and said he wanted to do that. And so we worked together with some other people. And so I joined him and paid my barbershop billing taxes in $1 bills for that protest, and that was in Woodstock. But this has been an issue here for the longest time, and I've been in Wonder Lake since 1947. And one of the things I've been telling
like you incorporated Wonder Lake
is that I have a $10,000 tax bill. I have a nice house. It's on the lake. Did a lot of the work myself. Could never afford the house by myself. But anyway, we built it there. All of a sudden, I get a tax bill for $10,000. Homes didn't cost $10,000 when we came here. And so now I've been telling people I don't even live in my own home. I don't even own it. I live in a government home.
That's right.
If I don't pay the taxes, which is over $10,000 a year, well, then they're going to take it. And there's just something terribly wrong with that.
But so you ran, I don't think we introduced you, but you tried to get rid of township government for a number of years and just saw all the hurdles that exist. It has to be done through the state legislature. A lot of lawmakers kind of bubble up to the surface in Springfield because they've come from township government. It's a very protected layer of government in Springfield. And so because you had such difficulty, you decided to run, and now you're on a township board, correct?
That is absolutely correct. I've been with this issue for 25 years.
And
exactly, after being an activist for all those years, and I got a lot of attention, got things on the ballot, but I realized that if you really want to get something done, you need to get elected to that position.
Yeah. Well,
And
here's what I'm worried about, Bob, with you, because oftentimes people run against the machine and then they get in the position, and then are you going to start to realize, well, you know what, we actually do need this highway commissioner who oversees 4 miles of roadway, and we do need general assistance funding, et cetera, et cetera. How can we be sure that you're gonna maintain your role as trying to dissolve this government?
I can answer that very easily. I have a mandate. I'm very well spoken here in the barbershop, in the community, and our platform was to reduce the cost of running McHenry Township and also to reduce the size and cost of government units. And certainly, I've been very outspoken for years about abolishing townships. I don't think you need them. Sometimes you got to be compromise to that. Maybe some of them have to be, say, consolidated, but certainly we do not need 1,432 townships. People don't realize that even in Illinois, with 102 counties, there are 17 counties that do not have township government. And many people say in my conversation, well, Bob, at least you need them in the rural area. And I said, well, that's true. Look at my map in the barbershop. And the 17 counties that do not have township government, they are in the most rural parts of the state of Illinois. This whole thing is a structure. I believe it's a fight all the way down to the General Assembly. And all the troops that get to the General Assembly find their way to worm their way up through the township layer of government. So it's really more than about money. It's about the political structure, what I think is so phony in this state. And when I can give an example of a retired state senator, Bill Peterson, at that time when I had record, he was making $84,000 a year as a state senator, and then he was the Vernon Township supervisor for many years, making $90,000. When we have members in the General Assembly, including Michael Madigan, that will look the other way when they have buddies that are in township government, protecting township government, that is absolutely a sham.
I mean, honestly, it's just it's like opening a window into a summer meadow. It's just a breath of fresh air to listen to someone who is a small business owner, and you're set, but you're doing this because it's wrong, and you're so knowledgeable about the issue. It's just so refreshing because of its rarity. And you point out with the Bill Peterson example, it's Republicans and Democrats running the same scam here. And so I want to get your response to this argument that's often made too, and I hear this from Republicans in township government. Well, come on, look. We represent a small, tiny fraction of your property tax bill. So if you really want to do something about property taxes, don't worry about, they won't say this, but this is what they're saying, don't worry about the redundant services we provide at the township government vis-a-vis municipal, the local versus or county. Don't worry about that redundancy. You focus on the school district. So, they blame shift to other taxing bodies to focus on, so you're not focusing on them. But what about that? It's a small percentage, so what's the big deal?
I love that. So you're bringing that comment up there because I hear it all the time, too. And it's in the papers. It's in wherever I go to different meetings. Even the township assessors will say, don't blame us. It's the school districts. It's the school districts. I happen to be, I was fortunate. I ran for 2 positions. I got reelected as a school board member for Harrison School, District 36 here in Wonder Lake. And now I'm on the township board. And they're both tying together. But how I answer that is you got to start somewhere. But I'm looking at this. School districts need to be consolidated. We have too many fire districts. We have too many library districts. We have too many everything. The number I throw all the time, I know it's a little less than that, but it's about 7,000 governors, 2,000 more than other states. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And the positions are paid well. To Dan's point, it is a much smaller portion of your tax bill, but you're talking about township supervisors in some of these Republican strongholds, like Winfield Township, where the supervisor makes $102,000 a year. Or, like the Daily Herald reported 3 or 4 years ago, someone who maintains 4 miles of roadway in Elk Grove Township is making $46,000 a year. Some of them have pension benefits. I mean, it's absolute insanity that this persists and that it's so hard to eliminate. I think Evanston Township is maybe the only one of late that sort of was able to work with the state structure and dissolve their township. Is that correct?
That is correct. That was the first one to be dissolved in 82 years. That's how difficult that is. And Senator Dan Biss was a Democrat. I met with him right after that, and I was in his office. He was very gracious to bring me in right after that. And I asked him, how did you get that success done? And I learned a lot from that. He really wanted that legislation broader, but he couldn't get it through the General Assembly that had all those township officials down there.
And what's the reaction locally? Because I've read some things where some of the local residents in what's a fairly conservative area posting signs that say "Abolish Bob Anderson" and other messages that have been sent to you at your barbershop.
Well, also the big message was when I threw the nails out there.
Well, that's a message.
Endorse my position. We have people, in particular our township, which is a rich township, they give senior citizens a ride, okay? And those people don't want to use that right. All of a sudden it becomes an entitlement. I'm embarrassed for senior citizens because I'm one myself. I would never want that service. But when they first started that service, I researched it, and I said, what does it cost per ride? And it cost $19.42 a number of years ago, probably 4 or 5 years when I got that number, which is above that. And they would charge the seniors $1. Now, I've already got a call from one of my neighbors that I took to the polling place to vote, and I asked her if she's going to vote for me. She's a Democrat. I got a call after the election, and she said, Bob, are you going to take me to the laundromat? I said, no, I'm not. She said, well, the senior rides, they pick me up, take me to the laundromat. I said, well, that's nice. She said, they really do a good job. But this is what township government has done down through these years. They're no longer a local government for the rural farming community of the 1850. So what have they done? They had 3 mandated services when they started. It was road maintenance, assessing property, and aid to the poor. Who could argue that in 1850, horse and buggy days, were no longer there? So they've added on all these services. Our township has a newsletter that comes out called $50,000, and they got 20 pages of everything promoting the government, all the services. They got bingo to whatever you want. That stuff is nonsense. Those are not essential services. But everyone in our country, everyone in this township, however you want to break it down, once they get a government service, it becomes entitlement. They'll fight tooth and nail for that.
Well, and the other thing, some of the services, maybe not the rides, but some of these services can still exist, but they can be absorbed by the county. Or in Evanston's case, they're saving up to $1 million a year. Same service is being provided. In fact, it's more efficient because the city took it over. So some of these, it's not that you eliminate all the services, you blend them.
If we're going to have any kind, I agree to that totally. That can be done. But our state will never. I just going to say, even yesterday, another customer going to say, Bob, in May, my house is going on the market. He lives down in Bull Valley, a nice community. I said, why are you leaving? Because of my tax bill. I can go to Tennessee. It's a third of what I pay here.
Yep.
What's happening is that we have so many services in the state, we can't afford them all. So there's a 2 ways to say this. First of all, there'll be no tax break or on your tax bill until you get rid of all these governments. None of them make us any money. They cost us money. But some of those services can be there. But there's no reason why you can't have a regional road district. In McHenry County, why do we have 17 township assessors? We have 1 township assessor in Burton Township that doesn't live in the state. It lives in Wisconsin. They'll make the argument, well, you'd have to have local people assess your property. But there's so many people appeal their assessors, including myself. That's a ridiculous statement to make from them. But this whole thing has built up to protect government, and it's one of the reasons why I got involved, because I feel like the state is worth saving, and we will not save it unless we come on this and get rid of some of these redundant services, and there's no reason some of these services cannot be taken into the municipalities. If you go down some of the streets here in McHenry County, you'll have signs up for the Township Road District. They'll say, leaving McHenry Township Road District. You'll go down 200 yards, you are entering McHenry Township Road District. They put these signs up. Every time there's an annexation, these townships lose road miles, but they still continue to take those big, heavy budgets. And our road district is actually being sued. It's one of the big talking points I had. They have a fund balance of over $3.5 million. I went ballistic when I looked up some of the numbers. They had over $2,300,000 in discretionary spending. those are the things that we have to go after right away.
That is insanity.
Bob-
That is insanity.
Bob
It is
Ander-
insanity.
Bob Anderson,
For governor.
exactly, trustee for McHenry Township. Soon, hopefully, yeah, stick around and run for governor or something, won't you?
Well, I plan to take this. Now that I'm elected, I've already called into my state senator, Pamela Eltoff. But sometimes she drags her feet a little bit, and I hope she hears this. I have no problem with that. She's given me a lot of time, but she also has never got me to Springfield. Several times she said, Bob, I'll make a way for you. Find a route to Springfield with your message. It never got there. So now I feel like as long as I'm elected to this board, and we do have, out of the Magnificent Seven, we have 7 people running for this election. And I refer to them as the Magnificent Seven. Unfortunately, 2 of them didn't get through. But we do have a clerk on my group, of the slate, and 4 trustees. So we do have a majority of vote there. So with that being said, and these are like-minded people, I want to take this message from McHenry Township Board to Springfield, and I want my state senator to lead the way. So we'll see what happens. But I do have a call into her. She's supposed to meet me at the barber shop and discuss this sometime in the future, but I don't know exactly when it will be.
Keep us posted.
Barber Bob Anderson, keep up the great work. That McHenry Township may be the one place people in Illinois will move to. Thanks for joining us again, Bob. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me on.
And Bob is like the anti-Bob Miller, the former Algonquin Township neighbor of his, highway commissioner. You know, the $400,000 we've talked about on the show. You know, the 50-year dynastic rule of that township department. And the hits just keep on coming out the door. This is what you're doing when you're not paying attention like Bob Anderson is. Road Commissioner Bob Miller just cashed out $47,000 worth of accrued sick pay. For 263 days of sick leave he amassed between 1972 and 1993 as an employee of the Algonquin Township Road Department, Highway Department, before he was a commissioner.
That is theft. Craziness.
Illinois.